Oh hey, we didn't see you there. Welcome to the National Religions Museum. You have entered the Jainism wing. I'm Angel Canib, one of your directors that will be leading you down the hall, and this is Jessie Blaisdell. Thank you for joining us today. Come, join us. Hi, you have come to our first painting on display. This represents the 24 heroes, also known as the Tirthankaras. Jainism is derived from Jina, which means conqueror, from the past, those who obtained salvation. They are believed to be the makers of the river crossing. Rivers are very spiritual to the Jains. It means traversing the realm of samsara to salvation and beyond. You will notice that Jainism shares many similarities with Buddhism. There were 24 heroes, like I said before, and their purpose is so they can pass on their teachings and lessons to other Jains. And there's one particular hero, the 24th, that we're going to focus on, and our partner Jessie will elaborate on next. Thank you. Go.
Okay, this represents Mahavira. He's a great hero, the 24th, and he's someone who lived a very similar life to the Buddha. He grew up in a very luxurious lifestyle, but he didn't like it at all. He embarked on a hard life of a Jain monk. To completely depart from his society, he would walk around naked, begged for all his food, and allowed himself to be ridiculed. He didn't act upon the verbal and physical abuse he was given. He held true to the authentic lifestyle and the highest degree of his principles. He learned the practices of Jainism through others. He sat by a tree in the shade where he would reach enlightenment. The form of enlightenment is called Kevala.
Sounds very similar to the Buddha who sat underneath the shade, huh, Jessie?
It does.
You have reached our third set of paintings, and this represents the path, the quest for salvation for Jains. The picture is of a loka as a giant man. The loka represents the space that is infinite, yet incredibly vast. The loka is made up of two parts, jivas, which are souls, and the ajiva, which are non-living. Salvation is obtained when the soul cleans all matter and is completely pure. Karma is crucial to destiny of the soul, purely materialistic sense. Immoral actions such as injuries dirty that soul. So the lower part of the body represents the dirtiness and the top represents the clean. The moment when Kevala happens, it is a spiritual perfection and the soul can no longer be tarnished. Actual moment of death, complete of liberation. Goal, to achieve a good rebirth. Dependent on karma. Living a good life is essential because it reflects onto the new life.
You have now reached the fourth section, which is made up of the monks and nuns and the lay people. The monks and nuns are called ascetics, heroic role models that people look up to. Ahisma is nonviolence, a contact by which both live by.
You have now reached our fifth painting, and this represents the different sects. First we have the Ventabras, those whose garment is white. They use bowls for begging and believe that women can achieve Kevala. Kevala is reached when one continues to eat food to keep living. That's a contradiction to the Degabras, which are those whose garment in the sky, so those who have less clothing. They go naked or skyland. They use hands for begging. They think that women need to be reborn to achieve Kevala. And you might wonder, what's this small piece of clothing covering the mouths of these people? And how small is the clothing that they're allowed to have if they're very conservative? So, usually they have a yard by yard piece of cloth to wear. The cloth they use is to prevent organisms from entering their mouth And they also have rules like don't cook after the sun goes down because that's when organisms come out and they could really harm the organisms if they're like cooking and something gets into their food. And that's the fifth. You have reached our sixth painting, and this represents the life of monks and nuns. They deny the existence of deities who can offer divine assistance. An example, the Thankaras are out of reach already. They have already reached salvation. What we can learn from them is the teachings and the lessons that they have left behind. And what this represents is how a tiger would usually eat something like a cow, but this represents non-harming because even a little tiger cub is getting milk from the mom, and then a little baby cow is getting milk from the mom tiger. At age 8 for the Vetabra, and at a young adult age for the Digabras, they are allowed to decide whether they want to go into the aesthetic life. At the ceremony, there are acts like receiving alms bowls and a whisk. And a whisk, if you look right over here, is used to clear a path. So when you're walking, you don't accidentally step on organisms and cause harm to them. Because the Jains believe in non-harm, no matter how small the animal is. You also have to pull out 5 tufts of hair, and this signifies the end of the sexual life and fasting. And then there are 5 vows they had to live by. 1, do not injure other life forms. 2, avoid lying. 3, do not take what has not been given. So they go around begging for food, so you wouldn't want to go and take food from someone else. 4, renounce the sexual activity. And 5, renounce possession. And a fun fact about the Jains is that when it rains, monks and nuns will move in with the Jain people because there's too much organisms out on the grounds from the rain.
The last section is the Laertes people. The Laertes make up 99%. The authority figures are aesthetic, and they have 12 vows they follow. Along with the 5 great vows that we already talked about, they have the next 3 vows which supplement the lesser ones. So avoid excessive travel, avoid excessive indulgence in things such as food and drinking, and avoid any unnecessary harmful behavior. There's final 4 vows relating to religious practices. Restrict activities to certain places for a long period of time. Regularly perform the standing meditation, which they are doing in this picture. Fast on certain days, and give to ascetics and to charitable causes. Many people ask what they do in modern times, and despite Jain's small and dying population, in India, Jains are some of the wealthiest people, and they like to contribute to putting wealth back into their society. They also contribute to philosophical aspects and community service of their country. So that's it.
Hi, we thank you again for joining us on our tour of the religion of Jainism. You will now be doing an activity based on meditation. The Jainisms have 2 aspects. The first is just sitting there and emptying your mind and being meditative. And the second part is bringing materials. They bring 8. And the combination of 7 of them make the 8th item, which is moksha, and it's salvation. And what you will be doing is certain activities that make up moksha and that really help you to learn the meditation of Jains.